What's up, everybody? RDP here, and this is QQQ. This is basically a continuation of yesterday's recap, and I love if I can go a couple of days in a row, if I can give you a sequence, you can kind of follow along in the day's action. I was saying yesterday that up in this area, tagging the 4236 with RSI topping and then giving us kind of a lower high, diminishing strength, we were likely going to see in this no man's land on the one-day chart, the price needing to be decisive about either going and picking up liquidity down here at the 3618 or making a reverse for the all-time high back up at the 4236. And what we got was essentially a jump and then a decline. And then at the end of the day, we saw a news candle come in, caught a lot of people off guard. If people are saying, oh, I knew it was coming. That is a bunch of crap, man. Nobody can predict the news. Nobody knows what's coming except for very few people. So I texted and I told the bakers, man, you're either in the position or you're not in the position. But if you chase, man, more than likely you're going to get bagged. So I had played overnight with Dems just for fun. He was talking about how he likes to pick up one DTE SPX cons and then wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning West Coast time, check the value and sell, because usually that's where the pump is. And I did exactly that. I set an alarm for 3 o'clock in the morning. The position was up 30-40%. I went back to bed. It cost me a buck and a nickel. And by the morning bell, that position was up 400%, which was awesome. So I was already sitting kind of on top of a little bit of profit, and watching this QQQ position, we go and we start to explore liquidity. And I had said I wouldn't be surprised if we make a double bottom touch here and then we reverse off of this. And the buyers came and snagged it up on that news before we got that. So that technically makes a continuation. This is a higher high. Well, technically it's a higher high, lower high, higher high, lower high, and now what we need to see is the bulls print a higher high if we're going to have continuation. Now this could print sideways and flag before we make a decision in each direction. Mind you, on the daily, RSI is still downward facing, although it's sloping. So let's go into a tighter time frame and let me show you how you could have played today in a way that would have made you some great returns on zero DTEs. You can see here is the gap down on the open, and we come down, and then this is early in the morning pre-market. So this is 1 o'clock in the morning, and then the bell is going to meet us here. And like I was saying, we get this run up right here, and it's going to take us just past where this morning open is. It's just going to creep and peek over it. And this is a great example of what support and resistance looks like. See, if you draw this here, you can see this act as a zone of first resistance, then it operates as support, comes down to support. We're going to break below. This now is resistance, and then even in the middle of the day, as it comes back up, this is going to turn into resistance again, and we're going to lose this level here. Friday, like I said, drop down. We're going to pop in the morning here. Bing, we're going to come up, and then we're going to bell, small pop, and then off and below. So we've got a area of support and resistance right here. You can now also toss in a channel, and you can build it off of these peaks. And I think that this would be a valid channel to keep eyes on. I teach in my clinics, it doesn't matter if you've got invalidations down here. What I want is the sum average of all the touches I can get. And so if I have a touch here, 3 and 4 here, if I've got 1, 2, and 3, this to me makes sense for a channel. And what I'm seeing is a potential rollover event happening. And you can see the RSI a little less cooperative here at the end. This is in after hours right now, getting a little bit of a rollover. So we'll be watching where the morning could totally open anywhere on this resistance line and then reject and run down, print a proper double bottom down here, or in fact, give us that liquidity touch down here at this proper fib. if we come up over this, I would be looking for volume to come in. If I flip on the volume here, it's pretty important to see how volume gives you cues as to whether or not you're going to see continuation when you get a breakout like this. Look at how small these volume candles are here in relationship to some of the others that you see along the way as price actually is making its way up to new higher levels. This pop above the channel is very weak by way of volume. And then as soon as you get a little bit of a rollover and you retouch and you retest this resistance, you're going to see the sellers turn on the turbos and they really step in, and this drops it all the way back down past the heart line. It retests and then it's down to the support line. Then we're going to get a retest and so on and so forth. So I think this channel will hold up. If we get a proper break with a little bit of volume, I would suspect we're going to go and retest this area here for a resistance test to see if we can flip it into support and make our way up to higher highs and eventually new highs altogether on QQQ. One of the ways that you can kind of test and see where areas of interest to play may be, just for the sake of showing you this, if you would have played on this rejection, this was like all time, kind of a double top here, and then you get almost to the heart line. I want you to see this creeps below the 50 on the 10. It's going to come up to the 50 to retest it, and you're going to get a rejection here. This is a great play in my book for entering puts, especially if you cross below this heart line and then you just get this drain over time. If you flip on something like VWAP, you can also see this rollover was a drop below the VWAP. It was a test of it here and then eventually a rejection. So those are confluences. If you're looking for a few data points that you can put together, I would say these would be the sequential order. Here's your support turned into resistance. Here's your channel giving you a top side, volume telling you that it is not as strong as you may be hoping it is. And then once you flip on something like the VWAP, you can see being up in these upper bands, especially this top side band here, you're paying the highest premium of the day in relationship to the average price on this session. So as it cuts below, I'd be looking for a retest and a rejection. I know that is a pretty classic play. Those are 3, if not 4 confirmations that you can stack up when you're thinking about whether of entering puts or entering calls. I actually entered puts, but I did it in SPX, and I'll show you in the next video how I did that. And I used Fibs to figure out where that extension was going to go because we played the second short. So hope this helps. That's QQQ. My anticipation is we're going to play in this range until proven otherwise. So mark the levels, and yeah, I'll see you tomorrow in the trading session.